So a lot going on about the elections, and perhaps rightly so. To discuss some of those matters, we've got on my immediate right Mr. Solomon Shoyebi, who is the National Commissioner in charge of Voter Education and Publicity for INEC. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning, Nigerians, and welcome to 365 days to 2019 general elections.
You can't resist but state that countdown. And we also have Dr. Thomas-Wilson Ikubese, who's of the National Conscience Party. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Let me start from where we touched off in our opening sequence. I'm sure both of you might have seen some part of it. That debate going on in the Senate and perhaps in the House of Reps as well about amendments in the Electoral Act. I know you spoke about this previously, but that report, there was a report they saw in some of the dailies yesterday saying INEC may be raising lawyers to challenge that in court. That is one of the most recent commentary in the dailies. So let's hear from you now. Is there any truth to that story?
Let me state categorically that there's no iota of truth in that. I did tell you the last time we met here that we are a creation of the law and we will operate within the law. We are here to obey the law. We don't make the laws. And it's very, really difficult for us to find ourselves in a position where we're challenging the law. Everybody has a role to play in the governance of Nigeria. Ours is just to conduct elections. And we have nothing to do with the making of the law. So if a law is made today, we are just there to obey it. If it's a frivolous court order, we could challenge. But once it becomes law, we don't really challenge such things.
So if that amendment passes, say September, or even way before the elections, does that mean that INEC will use that amendment to conduct the 2019 elections?
Unfortunately, yes. Because if it becomes law, it's an amendment. If the amendment becomes law now, it's assented to by the president, it becomes the law. We have no basis to disobey the law. We have to work within the law as it is.
You saw them at the session and the protest by some members of the Senate. Do you think that is self-serving, or it's just part of politics?
Well, it's all part of politics, Chamberlain, and I actually was surprised to see a senator, one who has such capacity to be the chairman of a committee, said that he signed without knowing what he signed. Now, that tells you that between the time that that signature was appended and when he eventually came on air, a lot of water had passed under the bridge. Now, some things are happening, which basically has to do with the ability of the APC, the ruling party, to come back in 2019, and that's what is beginning to play out. I think what the senators are trying to do, both at the National Assembly, the upper and the lower house, is to dissociate themselves from what is happening. We should have a situation where, when we're going for election, we know that this election is for Mr. President. This election is for members of the Senate. Unlike what we have, where we have the Senate, the House of Rep, the presidential muddled up on a single day. I have a situation, for instance, where a particular senator was voted into office, and the people said, oh, did we vote this man? Oh, my God. Because they felt they were just thumbprinting, oh, it is the presidential, so all the people that are contesting with the president must go in. But with this amendment, it is a plus. I don't think anyone should go against it. We should have a distinction. Let's know who we are voting for, and let's know why we are voting for the people. So I think it's a plus that the Senate are doing this, and what is happening as a recount is an afterthought, a product of what is going to happen in 2019, because certainly 2019 will be a departure from what we have at the moment.
Some of the objections raised for those who oppose it, they think that there will be voter apathy. That if we were to vote, say, for, is it 6 weeks now, 2 weeks interval in between each election, there just might be that apathy on the part of voters, and they are raising concerns.
Chamberlain, there can be no apathy. Nigerians want a transformation in 2019. They are tired. I'm just coming back now, and I saw long queues on the filling stations. Insecurity situation in Nigeria has attended a state that we've never experienced. Nothing is working. everything is that there cannot be apathy. Nigerians are interested in the 2019 presidential election. They want to change of the status quo. There can't be an apathy between when we had the first election and the presidential election. So that position is not going to hold water.
If you give us the benefit of hindsight from elections that has been conducted previously, this one may be a little different. Do you think, according to the figures, history, we just may see the voters or the numbers dwindle of those who are going to vote if it's extended?
Well, let's say this. This will be the first time where we have a three-layer election since 1919. It's always been a two-tier election. The national elections and the state elections. And those have been concluded. In fact, we started with on a weekly basis, and we now discover that we didn't have enough time in between elections, so we now extended it to 2 weeks for the elections. From history, you will see that what we realize is that the state elections gather more interest and generate more violence. You will see.
Is this state elections as a standalone or state elections with state houses of assembly elections? Okay.
These generate more interest and they generate more violence. If you look at some of these states, Rivers, I'm sorry to start with him, Bayelsa, another one, just mention it. You said that the gubernatorial elections generate a lot of interest too, and then that's where we have to be on our toes to do a lot of things. When it comes to the national elections, they are generally peaceful. As far as the commission is concerned, which order they bring is the one we will follow. But somebody was talking about apathy. It's something we should not even roll out. Because if you ask people to stay for a month before the conduct of all the elections, there could be apathy towards the end. All over the world, even in international parlance, you will see that for an election, the shorter, the better.
So are you suggesting that the elections should be compressed into 1 day?
In fact, that's just the ultimate. That would have been the ultimate thing for us to conduct all these elections in 1 day.
Is it possible?
It's not impossible.
But let's look at the issues of logistics that INEC has had to deal with in all the elections you've conducted so far. There's been that persistent issue of logistics, delivery of election materials to the different areas and nooks and crannies of the country. Sometimes you get to certain points that INEC officials are not there. And you think if we ultimately get to one, it'll be easier?
You will discover that these are disappearing. All these fears are beginning to disappear. We are beginning to address some of these logistics problems holistically. We know what they are.
Okay.
They are man-made in most cases.
Man-made?
Yeah.
But let's look at, let's give a particular example. You've had a recent election, Anambra State, for instance. That's one state having an election. And you've had single states having elections like that. And even in those single states where they're having elections, INEC has logistics problems.
It wasn't as pronounced as what we used to have in the past. It's very easy for us to look at an election and talk about it in terms of maybe 10 polling booths or opening late. You will say that if you look at it statistically, it's disappearing. But it makes noise. It makes news if you discover that a polling booth has not opened. You forget about the old 94 that are opened. It's just a matter of perception, but I will be very honest with you. The logistics problems are beginning to disappear. Okay, because we monitor, in Anambra that we were talking about, we had about 84% punctuality index.